The live as well.
They may not be registered, so make sure you put your group link in the thingy.
I'm gonna
Joanne, you
get
have
this
it?
going on Facebook really quick too. Get that set up. All right, that's gonna go.
Oh, I know that.
All right. All types of recordings happening. Okay, well, it's 11:30, guys. Thanks for everybody for showing up. So if you saw my little quick video earlier, I made just a little intro of what's going on today. It's like, okay, I got a lead. Now what do? I got to call them. What the hell do I say? So our awesome Alex Mayer is here, and he's going to help us with that. Alex?
Awesome. I'm guessing you want me to just jump right into it, right?
I mean, you can, whatever you want, whatever you're comfortable with.
I recognize a lot of these faces on here, so that's a lot of fun. Some of you guys have actually heard me talk about this a few times, probably over the years as well. So, I have had a long history in sales, actually. Before I got into real estate, I was in auto sales. I loved auto sales. I actually think auto sales actually set me up really well for real estate because it taught me to have conversations with complete strangers pretty quickly. And before I was in auto sales, I was actually in a call center. I was actually a debt collector. Don't hold that against me, but it was a good way to pay the bills, and it was commission paid, and I was making more money than all my other friends when I was in college. So I learned really quickly how to have detailed conversations, build rapport people over the phone really quickly. I think within our organization as a whole, we do a phenomenal job of learning how to market ourselves properly, how to get ourselves in front of people, creating that parasocial relationship, and making sure that our branding and marketing is on point. But if you don't know how to actually sell something, how to have that initial phone call, whether it's an online lead registration, it's a referral that comes through to you, or it's some sort of registration on one of your websites, as far as like someone reaching out to you because they saw your marketing. You have to have an initial phone conversation with people. So today I'm going to talk about kind of the basics of my initial phone conversations that I have with clients and really how I work out things that way. I was trained when I got into the real estate business. I had a really great broker and mentor who taught me how to prospect online leads. I don't really prospect so much anymore. I probably do about 30 minutes to an hour a day at this point. And I mostly only really do it because I'm good at it and it's fun. And I really like 5-figure paychecks. So when I talk to a client on the phone and they end up having an appointment with me, I get them signed, and then 2-3 months later, I have a big check. It makes me think, I should probably get on the phone a little bit more, right? But even if you're not a big prospector like I was, this is a good opportunity for you to really hone in on how you can have conversations with clients and really set yourself up so that a lot of their objections that they have concerns about are already answered in the initial phone call. When I talk to people who are my referral sources, the people who refer me a lot of business, I am always reiterating to anyone who's ever worked with me that a 10-minute conversation with me is going to get you pointed in the right direction. It'll be probably one of the best 10-minute conversations with me about real estate to help you get set up along the test. So I always tell people, don't get too stressed with this. This is not a script phone call. I don't do scripts. I do believe that having an understanding of what it is you want to say is really important. And I'll get to that in a little bit when I talk about the section of having arrows in the quiver, which is, if you're an archer, right, you have to have an arrow they're going to pull out. Some people refer to it as like a tool in the toolbox. What are you going to say when someone hits you with some certain objection, right? So I'm usually going to be focusing on those things. But my 3 main jobs as a real estate agent, number 1, every single day, is I have to generate business. If I'm not generating business, I'm unemployed, right? If I do nothing else that day, but I talk to a prospective client or I set an appointment or I sign a new client, I know I won that day, right? That should be the number 1 main focus that you do every single day. When I was working at my last brokerage, I would have agents come into my office all the time. They would show me flyers and things like this, but they would never actually have a conversation with a client. If you're not having conversations with clients, you're not going to sell houses, right? And that's one other thing I do tell people as well. We don't actually sell houses. We actually represent clients. We sell client representation, right? Our clients are the ones who make the decisions as to what offers we make on properties, which offer it is that we are going to accept. Our job is to facilitate and use our experience to show them exactly what they need to expect, how to operate, and how to make those decisions in that process, and give our advice and guidance as to how those things work, right? But ultimately, they are the decision makers. We represent clients. We don't sell houses, right? So when I talk to someone on the phone, my main goal is to get them to understand how I can help them make better decisions throughout the process. In today's day and age, there's a lot of online information, a lot of conflicting information, a lot of outdated information. There's a lot of misassumptions about real estate and really how it works a lot. I mean, how many times have you had, a prospect reach out to you asking you about where they can find foreclosures in your market? In my market, there might be one every like 5,000 houses, and you're going to need at least 25% down in order to purchase those properties. So I feel like a big portion of my job is to really bring clarity to the conversation and show people exactly what it is that they need to understand about this process, right? And doing it in an easy to understand way. We don't want to talk about a lot of jargon. We don't want to be throwing topics like earnest money and clear to closes out to a brand new first-time home buyer or someone who's never sold a house before. We have to make sure that we help them understand what these things mean, right? So I'm going to talk mostly today about just the initial phone conversation, but my whole business strategy is based along those things. Main reason why I focus on new client development or prospecting regularly is I know that if I'm not signing a client today, it's going to affect my paycheck in 30 to 90 days, right? If I do not have a consistent pipeline of business and I close 3 deals next month, but I don't have any business after that, it's going to be a really, really tough summer month, right? So summertime. So we need to make sure that we're consistently having conversations with new clients as we go through those things. Probably the number one thing that holds most people back from making the phone conversations is going to be fear, perfectionism. A lot of people procrastinate on these things. What I used to do is in fact, I still do this today, but I just do it a little bit differently. I break my day in my offense and my defense. My offense period is before 11 o'clock in the morning. That's when I do anything that's going to be moving the needle on my business every single day. That's the phone conversations, writing video bullet points, recording videos, uploading ads, running those things, anything that's going to generate me business down the road, right? So that's when I usually am doing these initial phone conversations. But sometimes we just get phone conversations. How many of you guys will regularly just get a phone conversation from a potential client who just calls you out of the blue? You're out driving, you're doing, yeah. So that happens to me pretty regularly too, right? So you don't always have the opportunity to really prep yourself for these things. But I think if you set the table ahead of time and you know your main conversation points that you want to have with those prospects when they reach out to you, it's going to set you up for a lot better phone conversations. It's going to make it a lot easier, right? So let me see if I have my old notes here. Some of you guys have seen my One Call Starts It All video. I'm not going to go into all of that here today, but I'm going to talk about the initial structure of a phone call. Typically, my initial phone conversation with clients should be anywhere between 10 and 15 minutes. And I really want to be very focused on what it is that we are talking about. My ultimate goal is to gather information and set an appointment with that client, right? In order to do that, I need to show them that, A, I'm credible. I'm someone who knows what they're talking about. One of the main things I want to do in really any conversation is I want to shift their perspective on something. I want them to tell me a little bit about their situation. I want them to really give me as much ammunition to go off of with that. So usually when I call someone, let's say it's an online lead registration, I'm gonna call them and I'm like, hey, this is Alex Mayer. I'm the owner of Rochester Homestay. The reason I'm calling is you had registered on my website looking at houses here in the Rochester. Are you looking to do something in the next 3 to 6 months, or are you just browsing, right? Typically, someone will say they're just browsing. If that's the situation, I say, perfect. That's exactly what that website is for. Tell me about your situation. And that is the key phrase. Tell me about your situation. If you say that to a client, most people will just open up. It's also a command. It's like, it's not a, hey, would you tell me a little about your situation? It's just tell me about your situation. Once you ask that, a lot of people will open up to you about what it is that they're going on. If they're a first-time home buyer, if they need to sell a house, if they're getting married and they're looking to settle down, if they maybe have a certain amount of money saved up. I want them to open up about their situation. And I usually will spend the first 2 to 3 minutes really just getting them to share as much information with me as I possibly can. A lot of the time, people will ask me, for example, about like the foreclosures, for example. I'll ask people, have you ever purchased a foreclosure before? Someone's looking at a new construction home. Have you ever purchased a new construction home before? Are you familiar with the difference between spec homes, model homes, or just building up from the ground up, right? Like there's a whole, or do you understand a lot of these things? Like, a lot of people think that they understand how real estate works, but there's a lot more that goes into this process. I mean, we all know that, right? And our job is to really get them to see that same picture and how it is that we can help them with those things, right? So, let me go in here. I call the first 7 seconds of the phone call full, right? Because that's when you're going to get a lot of people to hang up on you if you're doing online lead generation like I used to do. I am very blessed nowadays where a significant portion of my clientele are either referrals or people who register like my personal website who've already like gotten to know me through YouTube or vice versa, right? But really in those first 7 seconds, you really just have to get over that initial amygdala fear brain and just get through the basic parts, right? This is Alex. The reason I am calling you, and I say that the reason I am calling you is because you'd registered looking at these houses, right? I had an online registration last night with a gal who found me on YouTube. And I was like, hey, Kayla, this is Alex Mayer. The reason I'm calling you is I just saw your submission come through here. Tell me about your situation. Selling a house about 20 minutes, outside of my main city, which isn't my market. And I got her to kind of open up to me about everything as far as those things go, right? So big part when you're having conversations with clients is to also make sure that your tonality is easygoing and friendly, right? You don't want to be sounding like a robot, like you're reading a script with people, right? We really want to disarm our clients when we're talking to them, our prospects when we're talking to them, because we are salespeople, and salespeople do not get a good rap in society. And I personally believe that that is because 80% of salespeople are not good at this, right? And they give the rest of us a bad name. But the good salespeople, we're the ones who help people make decisions that they need to make in order to get what they want in the long run. And that is what our ultimate goal is. Really great book if you're looking for a good sales book is Gap Selling. One of my favorite parts about that is he starts with getting people to explain their current state, which is why I ask people, tell me about your situation. I want to know what they are currently dealing with today. Where are they at? Are they renting? Do they have dogs? Do they have kids? What is it that's causing them to want to purchase a property or to sell a property and buy a new one, right? So I want to know their current state, and I also want to know their ideal future state. Our job is to sell the gap, to show them how it is that they can ultimately get there. We are guides in real estate, right? We are the people who are helping people make those decisions, and our job is to make sure that they understand everything that goes into it. So first 7 seconds, riding the bull, right? This is Alex with Rochester Area Homes Today. Reason I'm calling, registered looking at houses here. You're looking to do something 3 to 6 months, you're just browsing. Perfect, exactly what that website's for. Tell me about your situation. For about 2 to 3 minutes, I'm gonna be gathering as much information as I possibly can about what they're going through, right? From there, I actually pre-created a few years ago what I call a problem identification chart. So I'm going to share this with you quick, if that allows me. And this is what I use. I don't hold this out every day anymore, but because I kind of know it at this point. Can y'all see that okay? Give me a thumbs up, someone, please. All right, cool. All right, so what I did is I listed out all of the problems that my buyers and sellers have. I want to know what they are currently struggling with. I want to know what they know about the problem, and I want to share what it is I know about the problem so that I can give those little perspective shifts, right? So I can explain to them how those things work. For a lot of first-time home buyers, right, they don't even understand the first steps. In fact, 3 months before I got licensed as a real estate agent in 2016, I didn't know buyer's agents even existed, right? I don't think I could tell you how you got a home loan, right? I was 25 years old. You'd think I would understand those things, right? But I mean, if I didn't, I like to think I'm pretty on top of these things too, right? I like to think I'm pretty smart, but who knows, right? And ultimately, there's a lot of conflicting information online. You can go on YouTube, you can see rabbit holes, and they're going to tell you that you should be offering 60%. What Robert Kiyosaki in one of his books says, offer like 50% on houses on the market. Find a realtor who would do that. I would lose my mind if I ever had a client want me to make lowball offers like that, right? We need to make sure that we set proper expectations and foundations with our clients too, right? So I always wanted to list out all of their problems. Their first problem for a lot of first-time home buyers is they don't understand the first steps. And the problem that causes them, the impact that that's having on them, is they don't really know where to start, right? They're confused. A lot of the conflicting information online. And again, it's not market specific, right? Our markets are all very vastly different. Here where I'm at, we have the Mayo Clinic. This is #1 hospital in the world. right? A lot of people don't understand what the impact that Mayo has on our city. We need to make sure that we explain what is different about our each independent markets, right? And then what I know about the problem is I know that a lot of people focus on the wrong things first, right? Buyer calls you on an online lead registration. I want to go see the house. Okay, well, have you gotten pre-approval yet? Have you spoken to a bank? Have you worked through those things, right? So in those initial 3 minutes of conversations where I'm getting them to share information with me, I'm learning more about their experience in real estate. Have you ever purchased a home before? Have you ever sold a home before? Have you ever bought a new construction before? Have you ever sold and bought before, right? I think what the number, according to the National Association of Realtors, of homes that the average home buyer lives in, I believe is 4. Someone correct me on that if I'm wrong, right? But it's not very, a lot of people don't have a lot of experience doing these things. So our job is to bring that to the forefront, right? A lot of buyers don't understand how the affordability part plays into this, right? A lot of people focus on the wrong things. They're looking at price. I call that getting sticker shock, right? $400,000, where am I going to come up with $400,000, right? Well, you're actually only going to need 3 to 5% down. There's also going to be closing costs. We have to explain to them what really goes into those things, right? They don't understand. It's our job to bring clarity to the conversation and make it easier for them, right? So they don't know what price point they're going to be looking in. A lot of people are confused about down payment. If you have some sort of a down payment assistance program in your market, I strongly recommend becoming very knowledgeable on that. Whenever I talk to a first-time home buyer, a lot of the biggest struggles for them is they don't have the down payment. In my market, we have a $16,500 interest-free loan you can get from the state of Minnesota that'll help you with the purchase for down payment and closing costs. I have buyers every single month that are using that to purchase properties, and their out-of-pocket expenses are less than $2,000. So it's a pretty stellar program. So a lot of first-time home buyers don't know about those things too. So financing, a lot of people don't know how to see houses here in the state of Minnesota. You have to have a written contract for representation if you are a buyer. Otherwise, that agent represents the seller in every situation. I believe that actually went into effect in Washington recently. I don't know what it's like in other states, but here in Minnesota, that's what it is. A lot of people don't know really where to search for properties online. So I have a conversation with them about that as well. So typically, I follow a process of LP Mama. Has anyone ever heard of LP Mama before?
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah. Location, price, motivation, appointment, mortgage, and then do they have an agent, right? That's just the basics of a conversation. I want to know, are you looking in Rochester? Are you looking in some of the surrounding areas as well? All right. What's the price point you're looking at? Are you basing that based upon a pre-approval that you have gotten? Have you spoken to a bank? Who do you bank with now? Right? Those are kind of the basic conversations of the financing that I want to have with people. What are you paying a month in rent today? Right? If you're paying $1,900 a month, well, you could probably get a pretty decent house for that same amount of money, right? And I've never had a landlord pay me to move out. But when you buy real estate, you stay there for 3 to 4 years, you could be looking at tens of thousands, possibly $100,000 in my market in equity, right? It's life-changing stuff for a lot of people. And I don't think a lot of people really understand how important that is, right? I also want to know what their motivation is behind this as well. Are they looking to move for work? You know, are they trying to get closer to the kid's school district? Because these are all important conversations. A lot of these things people really haven't even like fully considered what's important to them. First-time home buyers, for example, they might go online and they might look and see that it says, oh, a payment of $1,500 a month, but they're assuming you're putting 20% down. They're assuming that you're paying your property taxes on your own, your homeowner's insurance on your own. And I actually want to make my prospects feel that pain a little bit too, right? For example, when I ask people, you know, how have you been finding properties so far? Have you seen the inside of any houses yet? You know, maybe it's just open houses, right? Or I've just been looking online, right? Well, if you're using some of these online home search engines, just understand that many of them can be a week to 2 weeks outdated. The information can be inaccurate. On some of these third-party websites, there could be some shady or malicious intent, right? There's a lot of scams online. I've even had, you know, people pull my listings off the MLS and then offer them for rent and then took someone's money and told them they were going to be getting a lease and they didn't, right? So I really want people to understand that you have to be careful on where you're looking. I tell people I set my clients up on what we as realtors use in my local MLS, which is HomeSpotter. We use that to find property, schedule showings, work things out that way. But I want them to know that if you're looking at some of these online websites, there's a very good chance that you're missing out anywhere between 20 and 30% of homes. And I will let people know when I'm talking to them, and maybe you have already found that. When I say those things, I get a yes a lot of the time, right? Yeah, I have found that. I saw a house that I really liked, and then I called the agent and it was already sold. That's another conversation I'll have with people. Like, I do not want you to be calling the listing agent. That agent does not represent you, right? You need to have your own representation if you're looking to do this your own way, right? So one of the first things I'm going to be trying to do is just gather as much information about them. And then I have what I call my arrows in the quiver, or the tools in the toolbox, right? If someone tells me they're a first-time home buyer, I'll go into my 3 basic things that any first-time home buyer needs to know. If someone is their first-time home seller, I'll walk them through what I call the series of questions that sellers ask me. Number 1, what's my home worth? That's the first question I get from sellers, right? What do I got to do in order to get it show ready? What do I got to do to prepare for showings? And then how do I respond to offers, right? Or when someone tells me, my neighbor's house sold for $20,000 more than what you estimated me on this, right? I'm like, well, let me pull up the information. It actually turns out that the information you had was inaccurate. Unfortunately, I'm looking at the MLS right now. It did actually sell for $10,000 more, but also it had $15,000 in seller's contributions to the buyer's closing costs. So that seller actually did not net the full amount. So what we're doing is we're getting them to admit that they don't fully understand everything that goes into this, right? I want people to admit to themselves that, you know, maybe I don't fully understand everything that's going into this, and that this guy can give me the answers, right? As many times as I possibly can, if I can get people to say, yeah, that makes sense, or they can say yes to me, it makes it much easier for me throughout the process to get them to agree to an appointment later. In our organization, we deliver value to people. We don't just set an appointment and sign a piece of paper with them. We're educating our clients on what it is that they need to do to be successful, right? So the initial part is getting information from our clients. Number 2 is going to be giving them my arrows in the quiver, whatever it is that they are specifically going through. In fact, I'm actually going to share my my seller one in case some of you want to see those ones as well. This is the problem identification chart that I have for sellers as well. Number 1 thing most sellers are concerned about is money, but actually time is also very important as well, right? A lot of people, I've actually spoken to clients that if they had a choice between their house sitting on the market for 3 months versus selling in a week, would you sell your house for less if it sold in a week? You'd be surprised how many sellers would take the less offer if it sold faster, right? Because it helps make their life go a lot better. But I know that, you know, if they're focusing on the money, I know they're stressed over getting the full value. They don't want to undersell. They don't want to list it too high and stay forever. They don't want to list it too low and possibly not get any offers and then lose complete traction that way. And how do they actually make sure that those buyers are actually sufficiently qualified? A lot of sellers don't even really know how to actually fully really read what goes into a pre-approval letter, what type of financing it is that buyer is using, so we can make sure we get through those things, right? And then I explain to them what I know about those things, right? In every situation. So what I encourage you to do, and I encourage you to do this on your own, is to write down every problem it is that different clients will have throughout the process that you can think of. Write down the impact that problem is having on them. And then what do you know about that problem? What can you share with that prospect in order to get them to understand that you know what it is you're talking about and that you can help them. Once I get them to give me probably about 3 or 4 different yeses, or that they understand a little bit or have changed their perspective in a few different areas, that's when I will let them know, based upon our conversation here, I think it's a good idea for us to get together where I can explain everything that goes into it. If it's a first-time home buyer, I'm going to make sure that you understand all the different types of financing that's available to you. What makes up a mortgage payment? Because there's a lot of conflicting information online. I want you to know what it is I'm looking at. Number 1, most important thing that most loan officers are going to ask me when you find a house you like, what are the property taxes, right? How is it a $1,200 difference in your property taxes, $100 more a month on your mortgage? You can have the same payment on a $250,000 house as you do on a $300,000 house. This is why it's important. I always want people to understand why these things are important to them to understand, right? Then I'm going to break down, how do we actually shop for homes? What are we looking for? And then how do we actually make an offer that's going to get accepted? And I also make that very clear to people that it can take us 3 to 4 offers to get an accepted one. I think that's going to be what we're looking at in 2024 based off of what I'm seeing here in my market. And then, you know, what to expect contract to close. If it's a seller, I'll go through my series of questions. I'm going to explain all these things to you. What usually works better for you, afternoons or evenings? I like to give 2 options. Right? What usually works better, afternoons or evenings? Well, afternoons work best for me. If we could do 2:15 on Thursday next week, would that, or let's say Thursday, let's say Friday tomorrow. Sorry, for some reason I still think it's Wednesday. We could do 2:15 tomorrow. Would that work for you? Perfect. All right. We are going to meet at this location at this time. You're going to understand everything that goes into this process in an easy to understand way, and you're going to know everything you got to do to be successful. Right. So all I'm really doing in those initial 10 to 12-minute phone calls is getting them to tell me about their situation, using the information that I already know about real estate to help make their situation better, change their perspective in a few different areas, and then show them why meeting with me is going to set them up in a much better way. So I only got about 5 minutes left here, so I'm just going to kind of open up to a Q&A. So if anyone has any questions, go ahead and unmute yourself and we'll go from there.
Alex,
I have a
someone
question.
asked, oh, real quick. Someone asked if you'll share your PDFs with everybody, if you will.
That is fine. I'm going to strongly encourage that you do it yourself though first. And because you need to have the creative juices to do this yourself. Right. And the reason why that's important is your market's going to be different than my market too. Right. Excuse me. But I will share.
I had a question. So, but a lot of our people that buy here are pretty much out of state or out of the location. So, like setting an appointment, you know, to meet like that day, a lot of it seems like I'm doing, you know, okay, well, I'll keep you posted, or when you come up, let's meet up. But seems like, you know, the longer you wait type of thing too, things change. So what do you recommend for like long distance communication with buyers and sellers and stuff like that, as far as
Zoom.
keeping them?
Definitely Zoom. Definitely Zoom. I actually, for my buyers who are relocating to the area, I have a video on like the top 5 pros and cons of living in my city, which I recommend everyone should have a YouTube video like that because it's my best performing YouTube video, right? But usually when I have like a Zoom conversation, I actually have a Zoom conversation with a client moving here today at 4 o'clock. So I do this pretty often. I actually have a PowerPoint presentation for that as well. I do not like my PowerPoints though. I would rather, usually what I do is I bring out like a blank sheet of paper and I just jot down everything. My buyer presentations are like an hour and a half long. They're very thorough. Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, but Zoom is a great tool today, right? Just like you have time to jump on a Zoom call, I'll go over everything from there.
Any other questions? Alex, do you want to, maybe someone wants to role play with Alex, like on how an actual phone call would sound? Anyone brave enough? Brittany, I know Brittany likes to role play. Manny, I know
see
Manny likes to
Herb-
role play.
Herb's raising his hands,
Oh, all right, let's go. Herb.
waving.
All right, sure. You ready, Alex?
Yeah, you want to be a you want to be the buyer, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Well,
Okay.
I'll be the buyer.
You're registering online. Work for you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Hi, Herb. This is Alex Mayer with the owner of Rochester Homes Today. Reason I'm calling is you had registered looking at houses up here in Rochester. Was this something you're looking to do in the next 3 to 6 months? Or are you just browsing?
Just you know, trying to kick the tires.
Perfect. That's exactly what that website's for. Why don't you go ahead and tell me a little about your situation?
Well, you know, I'm out in Hermosa Beach and I'm planning on, you know, I work in Burbank, so it's a big commute. So I really kind of need to you know, I'd like to be in Burbank.
Got it. Perfect. And do you currently own the house that you're in now?
No, I'm living with family.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So you're not in a long-term lease or anything like that we got to worry about.
No.
Perfect. Well, in an ideal world, how quickly would you want to be in that next property?
Real soon.
Real soon. Okay.
I mean, I was talking to my tax guy and he said I need to have more write-offs.
That's a good problem to have, Herb.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I pay a lot in taxes.
Yeah, I should also make a point on that too. If you get people laughing, that's a great way to really build rapport, right? So try not to take things too seriously when you're on the phone with people. We're just having a conversation. It's dialogue, right? Well, that's perfect. So have you ever purchased a home before, Herb?
No, this is my first one.
Okay, got it. So have you been paying attention to the market for quite a while?
You know, it's been something that I've been wanting to do for a little while. It's just that I've just been so busy with work and my career. I just haven't had really much of a chance to do anything about it.
Sure. So have you seen the inside of any houses or anything like that yet?
You know, I was thinking of moving to Texas. Looked at a couple places out there, actually made an offer on a place. But you know, I want to stay, like I said, I want to stay in California.
Got it. Well, that's a kind of a 180 change there.
Well, you know, I can kind of work from anywhere and all that, but yeah, Texas wasn't going to work out for me.
Sure. I totally understand that. Well, you said you had made an offer before, so I'm assuming you're familiar with the pre-approval process. Have you had an opportunity to talk to your bank about this yet?
Yeah, I'm all set. I have my pre-approval already and I'm ready to go.
Awesome. Perfect. So you actually are much more ahead than most of the buyers that I speak to initially, Herb, when they've never purchased a home before. So well, based off of this, Herb, what I think is probably the best bet is that we actually schedule a time to get together. What usually works better for you, afternoons or evenings?
Usually between 11 and if we start off in the mornings, that's even better, like about 10 or 11.
Would you be able to do like an 11:15 on Friday?
For what?
I'll sit down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break down everything it is that you need to expect when you're purchasing here, from the different types of financing that's available to you. I know that you're pre-approved already. I want to know the basics of what's going into that. I don't really necessarily just want you to understand what it is that you qualify for, but I also want you to understand how that pairs up against the competition. Because in today's market, you're more likely to be competing with other buyers than you are to be competing with the seller. And I want you to understand the basics of what goes into the pros and cons of your type of financing and how that works, vice versa. And also, since you've never actually purchased one before, I want to show you how taxes, homeowners insurance, how all of those things have factors in what your payment's going to be and what your out-of-pocket expenses are going to be as well. Does that make sense?
Okay. Can we do that now?
Not exactly at this moment. I got a few other phone calls I have to follow up with currently, but I do have some time this evening if that would work better for you.
Okay, sure.
Would you be able to do 5:15 this evening?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. I'm not going to go into it too much. Herbie, you gave me a few different curveballs in there. I don't know much about your market either, so I had to really kind of go a little bit.
Well, I'm actually using like someone that I'm working with, and I'm putting myself in their shoes and what they would answer your questions. So yeah.
Well, it's it's very rare that I have someone who's already pre-approved when they register.
Yeah, and that was this was someone that I've been talking to for quite some
I
time.
want to meet with them pronto. So I would have
Right.
probably actually been like, yeah, why don't we meet in like an hour over at 5 West,
Right. Right.
If that person's pre-approved, they are a ready, willing buyer who's ready to go. So that would be
So where do you set your meetings?
Since I joined EXP, what I usually like to do is I like to meet people over at restaurants. I've actually found that to be pretty friendly atmosphere. There's one restaurant that I really like, 5 West, which I just said. The general manager there, I helped him buy a house, sell a house, buy a house. I've held many clients over there throughout the years. The staff all know me. So when I come in there, I sit down at the table, they all call me by name. It makes my clients feel very welcome. It's not like an over the top, super pricey place, but it's also not like a dive bar either. Right. It's just a nice little upper mid restaurant. I like to do it that way. Coffee shops are fine. And then we do quite a bit through Zoom as well. Right. Like when I got someone who's moving here from out of state, especially with my YouTube channel and people who are researching realtors online, because of the way our organization is set up and how we dominate the social media aspect with reviews and things like that. I get a lot of clients who are moving to the area. And by the way, YouTube clients are literally the best. They will call you and they're like, hey, will you be my agent?
Because they already know you. That's that parasocial relationship, right?
Yeah. And that's the one thing that when I initially started prospecting years and years ago, that one of the reasons why I fell in love with KMO and the organization in general. When I'm prospecting people or calling people on the phone, they don't know me from Adam, right? I have to establish credibility, show them who I am, everything that goes into that. As I built my career around the digital marketing and having videos like that regularly, I don't run into that so much anymore because they already feel like they know me and that they can trust me. It makes the business so much easier. And if you have videos and you are doing phone prospecting like that, if someone tells me they're first time home buyer or first time home seller or whatever it is, I usually have a video that I'll send them afterwards that kind of breaks down the basics of those things, right? A lot of when I talk to first time home buyers, some of them are nervous about getting the financing. So like they might hit with the objection, well, I don't really want to speak to a bank yet, right? I kind of do it in a roundabout way. It's not mean, but what I'll tell people is like, in my opinion, not getting a pre-approval if you want to buy a house this year is like not looking at your bank account because you're afraid of what the balance looks like. If you're afraid of what your balance on your bank account looks like, you should probably go look at your bank account. Right. And having a pre-approval letter is just going to set you up for success. And anytime I have someone, well, I'm not actually looking to purchase for another 4 to 6 months. Right. Well, I think you should talk to a loan officer today, because there's a good chance that there might be something on your credit that we could improve today, such that it's going to help you qualify for a better type of financing 3 to 4 months down the road. Right. And I cannot tell you how many times in my career that I have had someone tell me that they're going to have no issue with the financing. They get to the point when they're ready to purchase. They finally get a pre-approved and they find out there was some silly thing that got reported to their credit that was damaging their credit score by 30 to 40 points. And now either they are qualified for a lower type of financing or they're not qualified at all. Right. But this is something that had we gotten ahead of 2 to 3 months ahead of time, we would have been in a much better situation. And I also like to artificially move up timelines. When I talk to first-time home buyers, for example, a lot of them don't understand. Like, let's say by some miracle, you found the perfect house today. Got an offer on it, got accepted. We're probably not closing until early March. Right? Big difference from when you're renting properties where you have first month security deposit and then rent's due next month. You will have your down payment, your closing costs in March. You will skip your April payment, first payments in May. For a lot of first-time home buyers, that is a huge break, and they don't understand really how. What we're doing is we're artificially moving up the timeline, right? Because now they were thinking, well, I want to buy a house. It's not like Amazon. We click a button and now we are a homeowner, right? There's a process that goes into that. That doesn't even take into consideration the amount of time that we are actually out looking at properties too. Artificially moving up timelines.
I have another question about your Zoom meetings. Are you like you said you have a pretty thorough presentation when you're meeting people in person. So you're bringing like literature and everything like that. So when you do like your Zoom meetings, are you doing share screening and sharing your presentation that way with them, or are you just having a face-to-face?
Yeah, so I actually don't I don't bring any literature.
You don't do. It's just an hour and a half. You just talk for.
I bring 2 blank sheets of computer paper with me, and I sit across from them. I ask them, the basics of 4 questions. Buyer and seller presentations are a little different, right? It's a very long conversation. But my buyer presentation, like that blank sheet of paper will be all noted up by the end. And I tell my clients, it's not really, that piece of paper is not actually there for them. It's so that I keep myself on track. I'm just talking to them and explaining how all these different things work. But I do have, for the Zoom ones, I do have a PowerPoint.
Yeah. Okay, so you do something like that. Okay, interesting. Thank you.
It's much easier for me to establish my credibility and knowledge if I'm just having conversations with them about something, as opposed to me pulling up a sheet of paper and then just reading it directly that way, right? It also shows them that I'm knowledgeable, because this is something I do all the time, and it does create a complete picture at the end.
Mhm.
And it's very overwhelming. What my initial consults, whether it's a buyer or a seller, is really to overwhelm them with information to the point where they're like, oh my God, I need this guy to help me. But I do tell my clients, like, if you pick up 50% of what I'm sharing with you here, it's going to put you head and shoulders above other buyers, other sellers. And there's no quiz, there's no test. You have access to me, right? But and it is so thorough that sometimes we do have to talk about things that maybe they don't understand right away, right? And I will let them know that I'm going to put a pin in that. I'll come back to it. I'll explain it later. There will be time for questions, and I'll open it up and I'll make sure that everything makes sense to you. But initially, I used to have, my first broker used to give us like a big PDF pamphlet that we go over with our consults initially. I found that I was using 1 page on it. And I decided that at this point moving forward, I was just going to show people that I'm knowledgeable and that I'm someone who can help them with this. And I just did it my own way. I think you have to have your own way that you do your own presentations too. I'm high D, or more high D than I am. Want to be more direct and just kind of to the point, right? But I feel like with buyers today, they just want as much information as they can so they can make better decisions. And the online information is just not good. Right, it's inaccurate. It's kind of coming out of left field. There's any person can post things online. It's just difficult to work with.
Hey, Alex, I'm just kind of really curious, but if you had to right now, I'm going to put you on the spot for just 10 seconds. If you had to create a 10-second video ad that you'll blanket out there on Facebook and see who kind of responds, and you're talking to, Let's do one for buyers and then let's do one for sellers. Okay.
Mm.
What would you tell them to kind of pique their interest and get them to that initial consultation call, that first consultation call?
Got 10 seconds, Herb.
Huh? 10 seconds, 15 seconds?
Yeah, I
10
guess.
seconds. 10
Yeah.
People have
seconds.
short attention spans.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I would say is they don't teach you how to buy a home in school. If you don't know what you're doing properly, you can make mistakes that can cost you tens of thousands of dollars over the transaction. With me, I can make sure that you understand everything that goes into that so you don't make those mistakes. If they're a seller, selling is a series of questions. If you don't understand the process on how it is that we get your home sold for top dollar and all the pitfalls and hurdles that could come up, we need to make sure that you understand what goes into those things so it doesn't cause a transaction to fall apart, or possibly you losing tens of thousands of dollars. Now, you did put me on the spot there, Herb, so I'd probably make it.
I love it. I love it. Good. I think that's
But if I had to really quickly get it in with people, I would go that way. No, but the best thing, anytime you have a conversation with a client, aside from marketing, the best thing you can do is just tell me about your situation.
Yep.
The most important thing you can get people to do is admit their own ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand everything that goes into it, and then we actually will show them areas where they don't necessarily understand the full picture, right? I don't care if someone's bought and sold a dozen houses. I'm certain there's something I can help them understand differently today. I mean, I've literally sold hundreds of houses and I still learn new things every single week, right? Crazy
well,
thing.
you know, Alex, the thing I love about your intro on your phone call, is you give them an out. Are you looking to buy in 3 to 6 months, or are you just browsing? So, because everyone kind of wants to get you off the phone in a lot of cases. And so they'll go with the just browsing option, right? And then it just leads right into your script, which I
Yeah.
think is brilliant.
Yeah, we're taking away the out essentially, right? We're already acknowledging it that it's going to be something that they say, right? But that's I used to tell people the story of when I went into stop it, baby. When I used to go into Best Buy one time, I went in there and I was looking for something specifically, and a salesperson asked me if they could help me, and I immediately was like, I'm just looking. I was like, it's literally like it's a knee-jerk reaction for a lot of these people, right? Like they just say it like, I'm just browsing. They want to get off the phone with a salesperson. No one's going to get on the phone with me and buy a house in a 10-minute phone call. Like there's a lot of process that goes into that, right? My job initially is just to get them to understand I'm credible and I'm someone that can help them find the success that they want.
Right. Alex Manny has his hand up.
Go for it.
Great conversation, by the way. And also, confidence is a big key for me, man. So I think that's what shows through the call, and you push through all the way. And even if you're busy, right? Because sometimes you're not going to be able to take those buyers because you might be in a listing presentation. You might be in a lot of different places when we take these calls. And I've been, we usually excuse ourselves when these calls come in, but really confidence is a big thing for me. But man, if you can share your YouTube videos that actually work for you in the email, I think that would be a huge benefit for us to be able to actually start doing that, man.
So that's the interesting. There are much better people with YouTube, and the interesting thing with YouTube as well is you actually need a lot of views to get clients. There's another agent who's also with EXP in my market, and he gets like tens of thousands of views on his videos, but he's only sold like 18 houses a year. And it's funny when I talk to him about this, like these people, they reach out to me, and I think part of it is I hired McCall Jones, and because of our experience with video, my videos show up a little bit more personable than his, in my opinion, right? I think that's the main reason why my videos outperform. Even though I don't get as many views as he does, I get a lot more clients from it, right? And then also when I switched brokerages, I made the silly mistake of using my old brokerage email for my YouTube channel, and I couldn't change it. I tried so hard, posted hundreds of YouTube videos, 4 years of YouTube videos gone, broke my heart. Great book for confidence, by the way. The Alter Ego Effect. Has anyone ever read this book? No?
No.
The Alter Ego Effect is about kind of taking on the personality of someone who really encapsulates what it is you're exactly trying to bring in, right? And you can create your own ones. It's a really great book. I think one musician used to like call herself like Sasha Fierce. I think was it Rihanna? I don't know. Yeah, it was Rihanna. Yeah. So
Beyonce, wasn't it?
take on this personality to help her get through things. So if you can think of someone who's just a really great phone prospector, or someone who's really good on the phone, that someone's easy to talk to, and then you just try to embody that person's persona, it makes it much easier. Beyonce, thank you, Tamika. Yes, but it's but a really great book, The Alter Ego Effect, and it's a great way to really just narrow down exactly what you want. You can make it your own. It's a really great book.
Yeah. And before we get off, one more great book is Exactly What to Say for Real Estate Agents. Phenomenal book. Phenomenal.
Yes, I agree.
Well, everyone, we're just like 15 minutes past our time, but that's okay because everyone stayed on. So that's super awesome. So thank you guys for being here. And again, next Thursday, I'm going to show you how to do content planning on Meta. A lot of people find it really difficult, hard, challenging. So I'm going to dive in and show you how to do your reels, your stories, your videos, everything on Meta. So tune in for that.
I'm going to learn from Carrie and then I'm going to do it.
Yes, exactly. Yep. Because Wendy was like, how do you do that? I'm like,
Well, it wasn't working for me and it's working for her. So let's go. I need to learn it. It's free.
Yeah.
Have that. It's awesome. Thank you, Alex. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was amazing.
excited.
Thank you so much, Alex.
I'm
Yes.
sending this out to the whole team.
Yes.
Yes, happy to help. I love teaching this stuff too. This one's a little bit more disorganized than
Do you have
normal.
a Google link to your spreadsheet or are you going to give it to Carrie so she can put it in the group or?
I'll share it with Carrie here. I'll send it to you through Messenger, Carrie, and you can upload
Okay.
it.
Thank
Perfect.
you, Alex.
I would strongly recommend you do that yourself, by the way. It's going to be much better if you do it on your own.
Perfect. All right, guys. Thank you
All right.
so much.
Yeah.
Bye.